Good evening and welcome to the regular select board meeting of the town of Proctor. If you'd all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business is to review and approve the agenda. A motion would be in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Motion will be in order to approve the August 26, 2024 Select Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Open public comment. We're going to start with Mr. Weeks.
Thank you.
Connecting, but it just says D.
Should I just?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah,
Whatever.
So good evening. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to say just a few words. I just wanted to do a quick review of the legislative campaign that's happening right now, and then a couple of committees that are meeting during the summer, which I think everybody would be interested in, and then a bill or two that are coming up, which I think you guys are also interested in. So to start with, Butch Shaw, as you know, is not seeking re-election. Alicia Millay is running unopposed, so my effort is to establish a good relationship with her, get to know her, and see what her intentions are up and want to go with. But I prompt you to do the same. You know, good person, don't know her well, but you know, somebody that we'll be working with closely. For the Senate side, there are 6 competitors for 3 seats, the 3 incumbents. Brian Collmore, Terry Jones, and myself are running again. So all 3 incumbents are running, but we've got good competition, and that's, you know, we'll see where the chips fall. There's a couple committees meeting this summer, which I think you guys might have an interest in. The first one, which I'm on because I'm also in the Senate Education Committee, is the School Construction State Funding Task Force. So we're trying to figure out, it's been 14, 15 years since Vermont has supported through bonding school construction budgets. So we're looking for a way to get back to supporting the communities. Part of it is, well, what's the revenue source, which is primarily bonding, but the second is how to prioritize construction once we do get a program where we have identified the school's needs. We did that a year ago. Now we're trying to figure out how to fund it and how to prioritize it amongst all the communities. So that's ongoing now. The end product for that report will be around December. So that can be used during the upcoming legislature. The other committee meeting which is happening, which is a higher level than the school construction committee, is the Committee on the Future of Vermont's Education. And it's a very senior group. It's Ann Cummings, who's the Senate Finance Chair, which is, she's in charge of revenue, bringing money in to the government. So she's a big player. And Peter Conlon, representative, he's representing the House. He's the chair of the House Education Committee. And then there's we call them the V's. It's the NEA, it's the Superintendent's Association, it's the Principals Association, it's the School Boards Association, etc., which are all on the committee. And this is a longer range study, as you can imagine. As you all know, Vermont education system is a bit complicated, especially in the funding regard. So that committee is meeting, but its end product isn't until, I think it's a year from now, or even over a year from now. Will not affect the property tax issue, which we're all reflecting on. It won't affect next spring's, winter, spring, summer's school budgets, because they won't have any mechanisms, any levers to pull to affect property tax. So they study, they come up with some recommendations. Recommendations go back to the legislature in January timeframe, and they start hopefully making some movements and creating a vision of Vermont's education for the future. So that's a big ticket, and that's a very senior group of folks that work directly with the governor's staff and hopefully come up with some good recommendations. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is there's a lot of anxiety being developed about it's called the Affordable Heating Standard, and it's a bill which is active from before my time, but like maybe 2-3 years ago. Anyway, there's a report out, there's another report coming out about how to fund that program, and that's roughly a $16.7 billion initiative to basically move towards electrification of Vermont, in summary. So that's a billion with a B. That's a big program, considering the state budget each year is only $8.6 billion. So it moves the needle. And I'm not going to make any kind of comment on the bill itself, but I do recommend you pay attention to the clean heat standard and as it develops over the next 5, 6, 7 months as the legislature comes back alive.
You know if that has any of the funds like that have anything to do with like conversions over with this green energy and? Yeah,
it's all about the conversion, but how do you pay for the conversion? So, and it's not about let's call it middle class and such. It's about how to move homes to electrification for folks that need financial support to do that. So that's where one of the primary uses of the money, plus electrifying state vehicle fleets and that kind of thing. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
When is this proposed to actually be?
Yeah, it's complicated. So come in the next legislature, again convening in January timeframe, there'll be a report which will have some recommendations on a path forward. That they should get voted on. There's potentially different processes, but it won't have essentially a go button until into next year. Probably, that'll be a heavy priority for the majority in Montpelier, and I think they'll move quickly on that so that they can kind of set the tone of the legislature, if that's all.
Yeah.
So it's worth studying. I mean, just pay attention to that one as it comes whizzing by you in the news cycle. It's pretty important.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with public comment in the room first. Stephanie, you want to start? I mean, if people don't want to speak.
Sure. I just have a little comment.
Sure.
Okay, so basically, I'm here for the Little Phantoms camp. It was noted today online that the camp was pulling away from the rink, and I fully understand that this was not coming from the town or the select board. They have not asked the camp to leave, that it was a decision made by the people running the camp. So the camp pulled themselves out from the rink after talks with the town about increasing the price of the camp. That the amount was suggested, to increase it to was going to double from $100 a week to $200 a week. I personally reached out to Judy, town manager, to personally talk about this because that affects me personally. And she wanted me to know that this was not a firm price. It was just thrown out there as a starting point and open for negotiation. I wanted to understand the reason for it and all of that, and she cited wear and tear on the building, increased cost for utilities, as well as insurance and other things. My understanding is when the camp was started that these were all considered in the original cost point of this camp, but also I understand that now that the camp has been running for 2 years, it makes sense to do an analysis to see if this is making money, losing money, or what's happening. But doubling the cost is a really big concern for me. I did do some research. I pulled the cost of camp from Rutland, which is $140 a week for residents, and Pittsford is $125 a week for residents. So $200 a week would just be significantly more than our neighboring towns. We did discuss, Jody and I just discussed that Rutland does have a bigger pool of people to cover the cost of overheads, but their overheads are also a lot more because their facilities cost a lot more to run. So there's just a little bit back and forth to consider there. You know, and it was mentioned that Rutland makes a lot of money on their camp. So then I asked the question, are we trying to make money on this camp? Which I hope not. It's also cited that the camp was meant to be a 1-year camp in response to COVID, but I recall it differently. It was in response to Proctor. People tried to get into the Rutland camp and the site crashed. I personally experienced this. The site crashed in 2 seconds. And priority was given to Rutland residents over Proctor. And the school also was not able to commit to having a summer program. They did end up getting one, but they had trouble getting the camp started. Both programs filled, so it shows that the town needs, that there is a need for this within the town. The Rutland camp filled, Pittsford camp filled. And it was such an amazing program. This program has been incredible. Both the school and the town one, but both much needed. My boys obviously attended the one at the rink, and I can't say enough good things about this camp. Judy and I also talked about the fact that there are people possibly complaining about lack of use of the rink for other people, since the camp is utilizing it. I've been in the town for almost a decade, I don't know. And I don't remember it being used a lot. I remember it being used for ice skating, the roller rink a little, not as much as the winter, but certainly used. I do recall at one point they were concerned about it competing with the pool. So I'm not entirely sure, but I do remember that being a discussion a few years ago for being open during pool hours. It was also discussed with me with the town manager that any overage collection wouldn't necessarily be put anywhere else, but hopefully maybe reinvested back into the camp. And I think that's a great idea. So what I am just asking is if we are going to, I would like negotiation with the people who are running the camp to please be reopened. I've reached out to them as well, asking them to please reconsider. And that a cost analysis is done to see comparison of, 3 years ago, what was the utility cost and what has it now cost the last couple of summers, and just an analysis and figure out what it is that we need to do and if a large increase is really necessary. And hopefully 100% increase is not necessary, because this is a great program and I think it's been a really big bragging point for this town. I know that I personally was bragging about it to my coworkers and how wonderful it was and how great this community was for pulling something like that together for our kids. So, thank you.
Well, yeah.
Vicky?
I'm just here to have a little transparency about what's been going on. There's been a lot of stuff said online, and what better place to come than, the direct place. So I'm just here for transparency. I want to reiterate what a great job that Megan and Brian have been doing at the rink. I know Katie didn't attend this year, but she attended last year, and I think it's amazing too. I mean, I followed them, what they were doing throughout the summer, because they just look like they have so much fun, and I would rather do that than work, honestly. Because they look like they had so much fun this year. But yeah, just looking for transparency about what's going on. Like I said, this is the best place to do it, and then just reiterate my support for the rink and the summer Phantoms program. So.
Okay, so I guess I'll speak to that.
Yeah.
It's too bad it got to this point, and I appreciate like Stephanie reaching out to me and asking me questions, because that's where you find factual answers, and I appreciate that. So I can either, if reiterate what someone else says or tell them how we got to this point. So we did meet, the board had decided that we wanted to look at maybe finances, because you're right, everything goes up every year. Are we liability insurance, workers' comp insurance? Now we got the Child Care Act that we got to pay into. That comes out of there too. So, and we also have the building maintenance when the air conditioning is being used, the electricity is being used all day long. So I said, we'll factor that into it. And we threw that number out, and then I just met with a couple, and I was going to basically kind of go through everything to see what that dollar amount was, how many kids we, you know, could have safely, and what the league actually supplies for, or supports by, you know, liability insurance, things like that. And then their salaries, and then all the supplies, because they would go buy supplies and then just get reimbursed, and I was just going to budget supply amount for them. And just take that up, divide it by the weeks, divide it by the kids, and come up with an amount. So, and I had done that, and then they stepped away before we met a second time, so that's how it worked.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
My name's Allison Pazek. I live directly across the street from the rink. I'm here for the same reason as Vicki and Stephanie. I have a huge concern of the treatment of the Canucci family, of the way that this has been brought forth without community representation, and the impact that this can have on our community's youth. The the Little Phantoms program has been instrumental in allowing the parents of Proctor to feel safe and comfortable and have reliable childcare that is not just babysitters. They are absolutely fantastic. It is a learning program every single day, and adventures had every single day. I sit in my office in my home, and I listen to the children laughing and playing all day long during the summer, and it is magical. My son goes to the summer camp as well, and he takes part in almost every single activity that the Canuccis have hosted within the rink. The optics of this is that the Canucci family have absolutely nothing but positivity brought forth to the Proctor community. The only thing that the community knows right now is that the Canuccis have stepped away due to ethical reasons. That's it. That's all we know. We need transparency regarding the recreational board, regarding the budget overages, and what the plan is if the Summer Phantoms is to come back to the rink and an increase is going to happen, exactly what the accounting is, and if there are overages, what the plan is for those overages. All we're asking for is transparency.
I'd like to speak to that in regards to the town manager. I don't think you got that far. They quit before they could negotiate. Judy wanted to talk about how we could just take the numbers and crunch them. And we're not trying to make a killing here or anything. And I was dumbfounded when I saw they didn't even come back to talk.
I can't speak for them.
No, I know,
can speak for myself, for my husband, for my friends.
And I can speak for this board, I think, that, that they weren't fired, they weren't let go.
No.
We fully wanted to cooperate with them and keep things going as is. So I don't know what happened, where
I think the disconnect came in back channels, and I'd like to propose a transparent reach out to the Little Phantoms, asking them for a conversation regarding this and to build back the bridges that were obviously burned.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think we were intentionally, or Judy wasn't intentionally burning any bridges. We were trying to work out something.
That's wonderful, and I'm really hopeful that the select board can have that conversation, because the only people who are hurt by this are the children of Proctor.
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak?
No, that's just
Oh,
a
that's
hand.
you, sorry.
Everybody raising their hand.
If you'd like to speak and you're online, can you please raise your hand? Oh.
I don't know, ask it.
You guys, I think I'm the only one that's online, and I'm just here to listen. I just have a brand new puppy that I only had for a day. He was crying, so I put myself on mute. Sorry, you guys.
Looks like ranting.
What's going on, because I'm really interested in kids in Proctor and recreation and what's been offered. I've been thinking it's pretty wonderful. So that's kind of, and I don't know anything about anything. I just happened to go on the Facebook parents page just today, and I saw it, and I thought I really should pay attention to what's going on because it's important. That's all.
Thank you.
So here's the puppy.
Fluffy.
But thank you.
Thank you.
And this Randy, guys,
I know, I thought, okay. Randy?
Sorry, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so my name is Randy Pazek. I also live, with Allison, across the street from the ring. I guess my concern with kind of everything that's going on is if budgetary numbers were thrown out to Little Phantom's Camp as a what if we raise the price to $200 and no analysis on how that was going to be spent, what the costs over the past 2 years were, if it increased or decreased. If it was just thrown out as a hypothetical, what if we increased to 200, then I would say that's not a problem with the two wonderful people in town that run Little Phantoms. That's a problem with town management, is not doing the due diligence ahead of time and coming up with a plan before throwing a hypothetical out and trying to get a reaction. And I think that's where the transparency piece comes into play. Like, we have to make sure we do our due diligence, we have the research, we have the numbers, we have the hard figures and facts before we just start throwing out numbers. This is the eventual outcome of doing such activity without having the facts and the figures at hand.
Okay, so I can speak to that. So it wasn't my choice. It was a collective agreement between the board and myself, because the board is my boss and we run things by them. When the town puts their budget together, it's the board's budget, and we all get together and anybody in town can come to any meeting, chime in, and we go line item by line item in the budget and what the budget contains. I don't think this dollar number was really just thrown out there just to, say, hey, cast it to the wind and see if they bite. It was more like everything has gone up, and when we're doing our next budget for the fiscal 26, things are gonna really go up. Our medical insurance, all the costs have just skyrocketed. So we're just trying to find that balance. And when there's something in the town that's created, it's basically is the town's manager's job to oversee the parks, the rec, the pond, the pool, and those things. If something becomes big, then it does get put before the select board for their input as well. So my feeling was I just wanted to work with the Canucci's because I felt like the program was being run, but there wasn't communication back to me. So this was started before I got on board, and I think it was a totally different, it was like, do it. Let's get this camp and stuff. I was on the board, I was all in favor of it, and I'm more than willing to have people, if they want transparency, call me. If your platform is going to be social media, I refuse to respond to that because it's always negative, and what it turned into today even wasn't even the issue. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and more blame put on other people for other things not even part of this, and I refuse to be part of that. But I'm more than welcome to talk to anybody if they call me, they email me, anything, and clarify things, because a lot of the information that gets out there is not real, it's not factual. So the transparency, I think, has to go both ways. And I think I just wish people more would come to me so I don't get information secondhand, third hand.
I would just like to speak to that as well, that it does get out of hand on social media, because I know the PTO dealt with something last year, and all of a sudden this little, mustard seed turned into a mountain. So
right.
I can speak to, yes.
Yeah. And it's with everything. I mean, somebody put a nice comment and somebody will turn it into something bad just because the chain gets worse and worse. So I'm just saying, if people want to talk, I'm all for it. Come to me. And it's not like we created this to go, we want to make, $10,000 a year for the town. It was more like, let's look at what their salaries are. Let's, bump the budget for like the supplies so they can get all these things ahead of time. And then let's figure out what the wear and tear is for the same group, 8 weeks. And like, we would do the same thing if it was a winter group, you know, looking to do it and stuff, because, you know, the heat and all that, you factor it in, and it does add up. So we're just trying to, you know, make our expenses so that they're covered and we don't fall short. Because then the budget doesn't plan for that.
All right, Robin?
The beginning of your conversation, your note that said, in the beginning of this discussion, you said that you proposed this to the two people who run the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And that before you were able to come back with a discussion about the actual money, they shut down the discussion and they walked away from the camp. Those 2 points that you just made conflict. So either you came to the table with the entire budget and being able to discuss this with them with actual figures, or you did not and you were going to revise it.
No, I said I came to the table to meet with them, threw out the figure that everybody had thought about originally, and told them what we were looking at in terms of raising the cost, what it would cover and what it would mean. And then I told them I would work on it to cut that back and scale it back to a more reasonable price.
Okay. Where did the select board choose that number?
Yeah, I think
Who
we all,
chose that number?
I think we all
I
talked
think
about the last
collectively
meeting.
That was a discussion, yeah.
Okay, so we can find that in the minutes of one of the meetings?
I think it was executive session.
All right. These are the optics that need to be more transparent to the community.
Well,
This
you
is
don't
the kind of
report
discussion-
out an executive session. I don't know if you understand the process, but you can't. You don't do minutes in executive session. Unless you vote on something and you come out of it. We just bounced ideas off, so that's what I took.
But why was that in an executive session?
Right.
Because we were talking about other personnel, because it's a personnel issue. Contracts.
But the number is not a personnel issue. The number is the cost of the camp that is going to help make money for the rink and the recreational committee. It should have been discussed in the recreational committee. And if you had the minutes, it would be more transparent to the community and more transparent to the people who are running the camp. The people who are running the camp right now, all they know is that you asked them to double the cost. It was not discussed that it was a select board, as far as I understand, it was not discussed that it was a
So I
select
think what
board
we're
decision.
trying to do here is trying to decide what someone else said. And so none of us were in the conversation. So I think that's just putting us further down the rabbit hole. So we're gonna go to Robin because she hasn't spoke yet and she had her hand up.
I guess my thing is by raising the price to 200 per kid, that's $25,000 for the 8 weeks of camp. I just think that's a bit excessive for even maintenance or electricity. I mean, the air conditioner, as far as I know, runs all the time there because of the food that's in the camp. So regardless if there's camp there or not, the air conditioner is running. Also, I believe a lot of this had to do with things being done behind Megan and Brian's back and them not having decisions based on them not having say in who's going to run the camp when they can't and stuff, or not the camp, the rink. When they can't be there 4 days a week, was my understanding of all that.
What are you talking the roller rink, skating rink, both?
Both.
I don't know what you're talking about then, because from what I understood, they were going to do the ice rink. And they couldn't do the roller rink. She couldn't commit to more than 1 day a week, and even that didn't always pan out. So we had other people interested that said they would be willing to open at weekends and weekdays. And the rink is under town management, so we can go out and hire people to run the rink. And if they can't be there, then, you know, we need somebody else, some other bodies, and if we find them, then we're able to do it. But I didn't know about the skating rink, that they weren't going to do it until they told me. So I don't know if you heard other than that or what. I don't understand that conversation at all.
I think that the conversation's getting a little, in a gray area, because is it everything? Is everybody unhappy with everything as far as the town? Or is it just the camp, and then there's the skating rink and the roller rink? I mean, it's like there's three different things there. So right now, I think the public is just dealing mainly with the camp, if I'm correct.
I think for the most part, for it's sort of two-piece. I think one, the camp. For me, my number one priority is the camp. I think the second priority is I had originally reached out to Judy because I saw the ad for the rink position, and I was curious about it, and I was concerned because I did know that there was some bad feelings going on, so I wanted to know from the source what was really going on. And she had expressed that, because of the Canucci's having full-time jobs, they couldn't certainly open the camp for additional hours. That would just be a lot on them. So they were looking for other people to fill in evenings and weekends. And I'm like, sounds reasonable.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think everything can be solved for a reasonable conversation. So I guess my question that I wanted to raise with this was, you had mentioned that there have been some complaints about the rink not being available for use because of the camp. And I guess my question is if we get rid of the camp and then we open up the rink available for the day and somebody else comes in and opens it up during the day, then we will have the increased cost of the electricity will still be being used, and then all of that stuff. And as far as it's been a free thing. So now we have a program or something going on where it's open to the town for people to come in, but there's no cost being offset there. So now we have a free service open to the community and nobody's paying for it. And if they are, it's not going to be a lot of money. It's going to be $5, $10 to go skating for an hour or two.
We can't charge to roller skate or ice skate.
So then that's a cost for the town that's not being offset by anything. At least with the camp using it, the cost of us paying for the camp hopefully will offset these utility bills that are concerned. So I think in that way, it's a win-win for the town. It pays for that, I think. So anyway, that's just something to consider for the people who are complaining that they don't have use of the rink.
And is that your hand or someone's hand? I'm sorry.
I think it's just.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thought someone had raised their hand. Okay. Is there anyone else online that would like to speak?
Right. Hi, I'd like to speak. I'm Ashley Parker. I can't find the little hand.
Okay.
So I just want to backtrack a little bit. You had said about, increasing the budget, which I completely understand, as far as price increase. I guess my question is, what was the budget, if you're allowed to share, that was set aside for Little Phantoms, and was it exceeded? And if not, what was the amount left over in the account, just for clarification?
It's not a line item on the budget.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you said you had budgeted.
No, I said we have a budget for the rink.
Okay, and in the rink line item, there's not Little Phantoms?
No,
budgeted?
no. I think the way it was originally set up, it was just that you took the number of kids that were going, the cost of it, and then you factored out the salaries and the supplies that were being used for it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Ayla, did you want to speak?
I was just curious if anybody had any questions. I had to do the mom thing, so I don't know what was said previously to me coming in. I don't know if anybody had any questions that I could answer.
No, I mean, I think they voiced their opinions on being disappointed it's closed. I think the thing is, I think the camp is what really created this being closed. And then I think it went from that to the rink, and from the rink to something else. And I don't think the issue, there was nothing wrong with the rink. There was no issue with the skating rink. So I think that right there is just something to kind of, put to the wayside, and people are upset because they're leaving. That has nothing to do with us, as far as I'm concerned.
I cannot speak for Megan and Brian as far as the rink side of things.
Right.
Except for when the meeting happened in July, I feel like that is where things started. And again, I will not go any further than that because that is for Megan and Brian to represent themselves. As far as the rink, we had a private conversation, a meeting, and the $200 was brought up, and it was addressed to us as maintenance, building maintenance, and I think I literally slapped that table and said, absolutely not. Are we charging families $200? You do the math. That's $200 for 25 kids. That's $40,000 minus the $15,000 for insurance and mine and Megan's income. That's $25,000 that would go left into the maintenance of the rink for 2 months, which sounds completely absurd to me. We had also discussed how some other camps do charge that much money, which is true. However, that money goes back into those camps. It goes back into field trips. We're paying for buses. That was not the way it was brought up to us.
So it wasn't that much money at the end, and I think I explained it to you about all the other costs that incurred and how we break it all out.
And we 100% said that we agreed when it came to like the electricity, absolutely, for those 2 months that were there, we should take over the electricity bill for that. And we 100% agreed with that.
Yeah.
But that's not $25,000.
Right, so I went back and I told you both that I was gonna go back and look at everything and where it stands right now, what we spent this past year, what it looks like for the next year, and try to reason out and then see if there was any increase and what it would be from the 100. But I never got to do that.
Because we started this as a help to the community.
Right, and I get that.
Right, which is why we stayed at that $100, because the reality is from the beginning, Megan and I easily could have charged $150, $200 and just fully pocketed that money. But we did this to fully support the community and the families, and Megan and I are educators. We know what's best for a lot of children, and a lot of children really grew from having our type of camp. That wasn't inside, that wasn't sitting all day long. So again, it was solely for the purpose of supporting the community, and it was a benefit to Megan and I too. We were with our children, we were out and about. Our summers were a blast. We had just as much fun as the kids. But again, it's a community aspect, and we just don't agree with it.
But nothing has been set in stone. They walked away before any more discussions could come about and an agreement could be made.
Which is a fair point.
I mean, it would have been nice if you came back and just said, you know, we're not gonna deal with this, what did you come back with? And then try to find that common ground and say, okay, this is good, we can do this.
So my
before
biggest
it
thing
got
is,
out there.
with the exception of electricity, what
We have well, first of all, the program is never really run by me. Like, I don't know how many kids were there. I don't know who the kids were.
And we have all of that documentation. You could have easily
I don't have
came
any
by.
of that.
I said we have all of that.
Okay, right, but it's up to you to give it to me as town manager. I oversee.
Requested.
Never.
Don't tell her that you need it without requesting it. Don't demand.
They should know as a program in the town, anything gets run through the town office. So Michael may not have collected it, I don't know. But anybody, the pool does it. So
I have never worked for the pool, so how the pool is ran or like the other rec stuff.
But the town should have a say in, this is the amount of kids you can have, and this is, we want to look at the program and what you're offering, because it comes back to our insurance. And I didn't know a lot of things that were going on. So if it comes back to us and we have a liability issue of like kids going to the pond without lifeguards, that's a huge, huge risk. We want them to go. We want them to have fun. We want them to do all those things. But when I'm not aware of it, there's nothing that I can add to my insurance to say, here's, what's the risk for this? What's it gonna, you know, what do we have to do to put this on the schedule?
I understand what you're saying, but nothing we did this year was different from the previous year. Nothing.
All right,
so
that was Michael's year.
Right. But that, at the end of the day, that should have been, maybe there should have been a meeting after Michael regarding other certain topics, because what happens with, like, after Michael left and you had taken over, there's there's things that go on here that like we have no idea about. So if we're not exposed to those, if that stuff isn't also brought to our attention, how are we supposed to know?
Like what, I guess?
Like you were just talking about different liabilities. Megan and I go through everything through the state. Our ratios through the state. We know what our like child to teacher ratio is. So those are things that we're going by. We're not taking in additional things or
right. So if it was never gone through with you in the first place, then I mean, like if it never went through with you, sorry, I'm just letting somebody in. If it wasn't run by you in the first year, then why would, you know, if it was, then you'd know the second year how it would operate.
Right, which is why we didn't do anything different this year than we did last year.
So what I'm saying though.
We were never told,
but I guess what I'm asking is the first year you did it, were you sat down with and said, this is what we cover, this is what you need to do, this is what I need in front of me?
No, it was us coming forward and paying the $1,000 for the insurance, which we have automatically deducted. And we did, again, the same thing this year. And I never sat down and been like, X, Y, and Z is covered under the insurance.
No, I'm not asking that. I'm just asking if Michael sat with, or anybody sat with you and just said, you know, what's the program look like? How many students are you gonna have in the camp?
I know Megan and Michael did have those conversations. I was not in on all of them. So I, again, will not speak for Megan. And I do think a big lapse of that is there was not another meeting had when you had taken over to kind of re-talk about everything. But it wasn't a secret. We were never sneaky about it. It was public from January moving forward. You had helped us. I know you'd helped redo some of the wording on the enrollment papers.
So I guess the bad part is that it's come to this and it didn't really need to, because it could have been resolved if we just met a second time.
Yeah.
Or even a third time, you know, just to iron things out so we're all on the same page and everybody knows what their responsibility is. Everyone knows, you know.
I think it felt, from what it sounds like, it and this is just me surmising, not anything from being told by anybody, but it just sounds like lack of kind of communication and responsibility of whose job was to do what and whatever. And I think that it can easily all be resolved if everybody just kind of calms down and has the end goal. I mean, it sounds like the end goal is to keep this camp. Everybody wants that, I think.
Yeah, no one, no one ever said anything about having the camp go away. That was never a conversation at this board. It never had been.
Yeah, and I think that the people running the camp are part of what made it special. One, because they're educators. And I was a camp counselor as a college kid, so I know what it's like. I was not that, I mean, I was a great camp counselor, but I was not Megan Knuccier. Okay. I know that that's a peace of mind for me, is sending my kids to adults. The other great thing about it being in Proctor is it ends at 3:00, right? If I had sent my kids to Rutland camp, I would be in big trouble because I would have to go leave work and whatever. But because it's in Proctor and right at the rink, I've hired 4 different teenagers in this town to pick my kids up at the rink and ride them home. And then, so I'm hiring local kids who watch my kids in the afternoons, and it has been such a stress relief. And so I just think that if we can please just try to work this out just so that we can go forward. And I think that if we can try and put aside, you know, the bad feelings and really try and sort out how to move forward, we can do it. I think we can.
I have one more point to make if you don't mind, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I also had to pay for my child to go to a private summer camp this year because it was full by the time that I actually tried to sign him up for a couple weeks. But that price was $290 a week for a private camp, and this is one of the closest camps other than a city-run camp to us, to Proctor. So that is unattainable for most parents in Proctor. Absolutely, completely unattainable. And it's one of their only other options other than a city-run camp.
How many kids were in that camp? Just out of curiosity.
So it was anywhere from 6 to 12.
But that's exactly it. So that's why part of the reason
And
the price is so high is because it's a small group of kids.
Right, and it's
So
a private business, and they're able to actually accrue these funds and appropriate them
Are
correctly.
you saying 6 to 12 age or 6 to 12 kids?
Kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which would explain why it'd be a lot more expensive.
Right, right. So, but this, regardless of the cost, it's one of the only other summer camps in our area. And so $290 is just insane. And it was one of my only options.
So moving forward, I appreciate you guys coming tonight and giving us your opinions and everything. So what is your opinion on how we should move forward? What should our next step be, being the select board? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that a real clear cost analysis of this camp, of the cost of the increased, not the, of the increase in utilities.
Right.
And like a true breakdown, an analysis of what it was previously, what it is now, and why we want to increase it, and all the other costs that go along with it, and then dividing it by the number of kids.
Right, and I understand that.
Yeah, and I think that is a good start to justify the funds.
Right.
Of where it's at.
People, and I mean, and we are too fully in support of Megan and Brian, but should we reach out to them and say, come back?
No, I think it's Kayla and Megan that we have to, that if they're willing to come back and talk to me, then I'm more than happy to.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could shed some light on my question.
Excuse me. Sorry, I could not fully answer your question right now because I think there's like two separate issues going on here. There's summer camp and then there's the rink, like the rink itself with Megan and Brian, which that is something that they would have to talk about and figure out. And same thing with the rink or the summer camp. That is something that Megan and I would need to discuss as well. And
would you be willing to come back and talk with us?
I would,
with Judy?
I would like to talk with Megan about that first. Before before I would make an answer to that.
And the only thing at hand right now is the camp. As far as I'm concerned, the rink isn't really a discussion because there was nothing that I saw wrong and I didn't see it coming until they decided not to do it.
But is it a problem? Because we talked about the complaints that other people want the rink to be available.
I'm talking skating rink.
Yes, I know.
Ice skating.
Oh, ice skating. I'm not. I'm talking about the roller rink. Is that?
Well, I did. There was somebody who came forward and said they'd open it evenings and weekends.
But is it during the day? Is that going to be a problem?
No, if during breaks they would do it, not during the camp time.
And we don't have complaints against that to worry about.
We did for the camp time. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. I didn't personally. I said second, third hand, but there were complaints. But as far as like now, I just would like the roller rink to be open. I mean, it's supposed to be beautiful this week, and it's not utilized. We have tons of roller skates sitting there and they're not being used. So I'd like if somebody's willing to run it.
Right.
And
I think the concern is if a new person comes in to run the roller rink, do they have a say, or are they going to be receptive to working with the camp? Is it going to be?
They're two separate issues. It's not going to be with the camp. It's the camp is run and then the roller skating is separate.
Well, it would be, let's say they come back and the camp is in place and the camp runs 8 to 3. Then the rink would open, let's say 5 o'clock, something like that.
Right.
So the deal would be in between that everything from the camp would be packed up and moved to an area, so it wouldn't be in the way for skating and it wouldn't be bothered by the skater, so to speak. So it would be two different entities in the facility. So it wouldn't even really make any difference if the person running it from 5 to 9 liked the camp or not, because they're not going to be there when the camp is going. So they would come at 5 o'clock and, whatever that would be moving forward. So they don't intermingle. Yeah, they don't cross, yeah.
Okay. So that's what I was trying to whittle out was, are we going to make sure that they're separate and all of that?
Yeah, they would be separate, yeah.
And my focus right now with the roller skating is just September, October. You know, I haven't even thought, yeah, it's just to get it open for a couple months so people can go roller skating.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Albert?
I've been quiet, no, been listening, but, you know, Judy is the town manager, and she was in phase one. She was just fact-finding and negotiating at the same time. And the questions that have been raised, you know, in this meeting, you know, and the meeting with Kayla and Megan, you know, about the justification of numbers that may have been presented. Did you ask at that time, you know, what is the justification? Show me the reason for, you know, that increase. And did you offer at that time, we keep records of, you know, our assets and expenditures. This is what, you know, we're expending. Again, what's the justification in coming up with that number? You know, that negotiation could have been had, you know, back then, and then there could have been follow-up meetings, and this all could have been avoided. You know, all of us want to see the camp. We know the impact it has on the youth in the community. You know, it's a fabulous program, and I'd like to see it continue. But I think up front, you know, you could have presented and asked,
Yep.
you know, and kind of demanded, well, show me that justification and then present your numbers.
Yep, we didn't demand, but we did ask what the difference was, and that was when Judy had informed us of like the maintenance. And we, excuse me, Megan had made the comment about how in past, like the maintenance budget has been like $700, and that whole $700 had not been used in years past. So then we had discussed the light bill, the electricity, the AC, and that's when we had agreed that absolutely for the 8 weeks that were there, we should be responsible for that. We're the ones using it. So that was in complete agreement. And we discussed, but there was no like documentation of like what Megan and I spend for like supplies, like our art, like all of our art supplies and things like that. I think we discussed it, but again, there was no like, we didn't hand over receipts. And that is stuff that Megan and I have always paid for. It wasn't anything that the town paid for.
So how does that
And
work?
I've got the floor. Judy never had the opportunity to, you know, come back to us with any information that was discussed, you know, in the meeting. You know, I would have loved to seen you had given, you know, the town manager an opportunity to have that second meeting with you and try and negotiate and resolve any issues that existed. Because I'd have been surprised if they couldn't come up with a, you know, decision in agreement.
I blame social media. I do.
And I hope,
Let's go back to old school and just have meetings, you know,
and I hope the three of you can get together and start negotiating again. And if anybody needs any information, just ask, and it will be provided. Not on hearsay or what you read on social media.
Give
Just
any one of us
negotiate.
a call.
yeah, if you can't get a hold of Judy, get a hold of one of us and we can get a hold of Judy, or...
I can say Judy has been very receptive to my emails. And I write long emails.
And she's usually sitting in her desk when you walk up the stairs.
Okay. All right, well, thank you everyone for coming
Yeah.
and sharing your comments. And I think the resolution at this point is that we'll wait to hear back.
You, after you talk to Megan?
I'll have a conversation.
Okay, yeah.
All right?
Sounds
Great.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you for
you.
taking the time.
Thank you so much. All right, the bills circulated, everyone signed them. And we have fuel bids. Bruce is gonna open the fuel bids.
Well, we've got one that's already open. so-
No, I
No,
think that's just
that's
his,
their cover letter.
yeah,
Cover letter,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, none of them
He
are.
wanted to share with you, who he services besides, plus they offer $175 for maintaining, like cleaning the furnaces,
Yeah,
so.
he was just sharing the other towns that they have contracts with.
Should have brought my bigger knife.
All right, so that's Marcel. Let's see, so the first bid is from Marcel, and it is rack plus price, so that's 0.25 per gallon. The September 1st, 2024 price is $2.47, and rack is $2.22, capped at $3. Okay, and this is Marcel too, what is this?
Diesel?
Is this diesel? Yes, diesel. So this was heating oil. And diesel for Marcel is September 1st, 2024 price is $2.57 plus 2.44, which is the Fed tax, which is 2.814, and the rack is $2.32. Okay,
Lisa, when you say the rack,
yep.
what do you mean by the rack?
The rack is the price they buy it from, and then they mark it's plus 25 cents. So his is the September 1, 2024 price is $2.57, so that's the rack plus 0.25 per gallon.
So he's making 25 cents a gallon off.
Did we have to pay the Fed tax last year? He
No.
says it's refundable from
It
the
is,
IRS.
we shouldn't pay the federal tax, and I know the current one is like really, really minor, and it's added in. Some will add it into the price. So if
Okay.
there's a tax, it's like, say they offer it for $2.50, they'll put it at $2.40, or,
Yeah.
I mean, $2.60, $2.70,
Yeah.
to add that tax in, and that's the rate you're paying.
Okay.
But this, you can actually fill forms with the IRS and get reimbursed for
Yeah,
that.
that's what he's written down here. Okay.
And these are market price or these contracted prices that are delivery prices?
Delivery, yeah, delivery
So
price.
it's a market. What are the
Yeah,
market
so like
prices?
heating oil, he's telling us that the rack price is $2.22 and his is rack plus 0.25, right? So that's $2.47, and he's capping you at $3. So he's not gonna go over $3 for the season. Okay? And then we have, this is Fox. And Fox is I don't know. Oh, diesel, they're not bidding it?
Maybe not.
It's rack plus 20. That's what,
Is that diesel?
that's all he put for all of them. Whatever the rack price is plus 20 cents.
We need to know the rack price. Is it in his letter? I don't see it.
Mm. 20 cents per gallon over the Rutland rack price unless otherwise stated. So his is gonna be a moving target, because the rack can change. Okay, and is there one more from Getcha? Was there? Oh, Getcha didn't bid?
Yeah, he did. It's right there. Doesn't he have it? It's an email.
Oh, this? Oh.
Oh, I wasn't sure, yeah.
Okay. And Getcha is a fixed price of $3.01 per gallon. So his is rack plus 35 cents, which makes the September 1st, 2024 price $2.686. All right. So I think we should just, call Chad
Okay.
and just be clear on what he means when he doesn't put the rack price in there.
So do you want to vote so I can let them know? I don't want to wait till the next meeting.
Okay, well,
I mean, if
it's hard to know what his price is.
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah, Albert?
Can I just ask one question? Who did we get it from last year? Was it Champlain Valley?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did they not
No.
send in a,
Bid.
okay.
No.
Yeah, that's-
So I'll
that's it.
just say
Yeah.
two things. Well, Champlain doesn't have anyone that cleans, so that's one thing. So that's problem, or if you have an issue, we have to find somebody to hire. Marcel does have someone.
Yeah, they have like 3 techs, I think.
Chad has someone that he contracts with for his customers. And I'm not sure what Getch's current status is.
They don't have any techs.
I can speak as a private homeowner that gets from that dealership, and this year they weren't able to clean the furnace.
Yeah, he doesn't do that anymore.
Okay, so,
So that's problematic, because I think we need to be able to have our furnaces clean.
Well, plus also, if you're reading
something
out
happens.
emergency, that somebody's gonna deliver it
Yeah.
then and not wait.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion?
You can do whatever you want to do.
I make a motion that we accept Marcel's.
Okay.
Can you repeat Marcel's,
Marcel is, the September 1st, 2024 price is $247, so it's 25 cents over the rack, and he's capped you at $3. So I'm guessing that, let's see, can I just figure out something on Getch's? So that must be the rack price, $222 for Rutland, does that make sense for his?
Yeah.
Worst service here. Telling you, what is up with that? Let me see. So if rack is $222 plus 0.35. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Did Getcha give you a rack price?
No, he says Rutland rack plus 35 per gallon, but then that's what he says the September 1st is. So if you think that Rutland rack is $222, like Marcel gave you, if you take $268, or if you take
268.6 plus the 35 is the 301, isn't it?
that's his fixed price.
Yeah.
So the rack, if the rack price is $222, that's what this price should be. If you're doing rack plus 35, that should be this price. Unless he's saying because that's not the rack price. Because why would his Rutland rack be 40 cents?
Well, maybe, who knows is there a Rutland rack price?
Yeah, there's Rutland and then there's Albany, right? Yeah. A Rutland rack and an Albany rack, yeah.
And he has Rutland too? Oh, he doesn't he just puts Rutland,
Yeah.
and he puts the price.
So I'm assuming I would guess his was Rutland. And Chad just put his was the rack plus 20, but he doesn't put it what the rack is. So, I don't know, they're a little confusing.
Yeah, I think we need to get some questions answered.
Well, I think if you send out requirements on how to bid and they don't follow the requirements, then
You go with the people that
go with the
follow.
people that
Yeah.
know how to fill out a bid.
All right, so there's a motion on the table from Linda to accept the bid from Marcel for heating oil and diesel.
with a hand up?
Yeah, Albert,
no, you can finish. I'm just gonna wait my
Oh.
turn. I just wanted to ask if,
that it's capped at $3 for heating oil and it's 2.814 for, diesel. Yeah.
And I was just gonna ask, was Marcel the only one that gave us a price for diesel?
Yeah, wait, no.
Yes, so,
No, Chad did the same, Chad gave for diesel too, but he
vague.
just put 20, he put the same thing overwrapped.
yeah, right, but
20 cents
Yeah.
for both.
Yeah. So is there a second to Linda's motion?
I second.
Second by Jay. Any other discussion? All those in favor for approving the contract with Marcel for heating oil and diesel, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. I'm gonna have to write these down afterwards. Let's put them in a pile there. All right, ground maintenance ordinance changes, so that was in your packet? I did not bring, oh, that I didn't bring there. So the changes are in blue and in red. Mine wouldn't let me write in red, it would only let me, and you only wrote it.
Really?
Yeah, mine would only let me write in blue in that program, and yours must only let you write in red, so those are the changes, and they're really just, I mean, part of it is changing from like the select board to the town manager, where we talked about that, giving the authority to the town manager. Other pieces are, you know, changing his or her to their, or they, and then, taking out the pieces, giving that to, power, I guess, so to speak, to the town manager. And then, adding a couple things in there, under section 4. Comments? Albert?
Item 4C, open fields must be mowed at least once during the year.
Yeah.
Is the intent of that impacted by the time of the year the mowing is done? If I mow on May 20th, I satisfy the ordinance,
Yeah.
but does that meet the intent of that requirement?
I don't think it meets the intent, in my opinion. I think it'd be better to be mowed like July.
Now, should we try and put a date on there, or do you
Yes.
think just leaving it vague like that?
Or
would-
what if we just said twice? What if you had a mow in
Like late spring and
or
late fall, or early fall?
Summer and fall, late fall or something?
The only thing is, though, the expense associated with it. You take now, and again, that was one of my other questions about, you know, are the areas zoned agricultural? Are they exempt
Yeah,
from?
like I would say, if you went on Route 3 and those
Yes,
fields.
that's what I was
They
looking
don't have
at.
to
No.
mow it, but like
Okay.
the lot between, on West Street.
On West Street, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or like when people came in the lot the town has, like on Elm Street. That they used to always,
Oh.
remember that down there, they
Yeah.
always wanted you to mow all the, so.
Yeah.
Well, would you like to say that it needs to be mowed, I don't know, August 1st?
That's what
Yeah.
Rutland does.
Yeah,
They
that
have
would be
a
good, because it's the
specific
middle of
date,
the,
And it's August, early
yeah,
August.
right,
Yeah.
So by August 1st?
yeah.
Yeah,
Does that satisfy you?
Yeah, no, I just wanted it to satisfy the intent of what that requirement was
Having
there
the date
for, not
will-
satisfy me, but.
save,
Well, that gives you a little more authority then, so then if it's like September 15th and it hasn't been mowed,
yeah,
then you can. Okay. Anything else in there that jumps out at people?
yeah.
If, question, if somebody's got a piece of land and there's sidewalk in front of it, and there's bushes, grass growing into that sidewalk, are you notified, Judy, that needs to be taken care of? How's the homeowner notified?
You mean if like shrubs are on the edge of their property hanging over? Usually somebody will tell me and then I notify the homeowner.
Then you notify the homeowner. Okay.
I think the post office notifies people a lot too.
Post office, brother.
Well, they leave little notes for people that, I mean, not for me, but I've heard that they've left notes for people.
The response isn't good, but people don't care.
Well, I'm just curious how it's communicated if,
Yeah, it would be like by letter, kind of like we
Yeah.
did before about the,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I've heard some of, on West Street out past McCullough's that haven't been mowed.
Oh,
Yeah, but see that,
those are ours. You mean like over by the guardrails? Or houses, actually, homes?
Oh, let's see, who was,
but that would be agricultural if you're past.
no, but, yeah, but that, if it's a home,
Oh, you mean their yard?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of, I don't know.
Gosh,
There's been some that
Out there
have been
before.
better maintained than before, but.
yeah, Carrington's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, the old Carrington?
Oh, across the street from, oh, yeah,
On the
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
going out,
Yeah, the old
and,
house.
Oh.
I guess there's a couple of couches.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Well, we're gonna
I've
have dump day, so hopefully.
sent letters to people about that and they just call and swear at us.
Oh,
They don't do anything about it.
So,
yeah.
well,
And
hopefully,
I'm doing it more for the neighbors, you know, because the neighbors have to look at it all day long.
right. Well, hopefully with the dump day, maybe that'll encourage people to.
If not, maybe we should
Yeah.
address it.
All right, so we'll make those changes and bring it back for approval at the next meeting. All right, and then we have, the facility use policy. I don't know if people made, changes to that, sent changes to Judy.
No, I didn't get a
Okay.
one.
So what, I guess, I mean, do we want to go through it together, or people want to take another time to look over it for changes? One of the things we had talked about at the last meeting was, well, taking the pool off, I think, because we didn't think that we would be, essentially renting the pool outside of the pool just being open, right? Wasn't that kind of the general
Yeah.
Yes.
consensus? So we could stretch that off. And then, I guess for me, maybe it needs to be defined a little better that you're doing something that's going to be in excess of X amount of people, because, you know, like, if we're gonna go up and have, let's say, a family barbecue at Beaver Pond with 12 people, do we need to fill out a facility use agreement?
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think almost like you need to create like what that threshold is. If it's, like a, you know, like a child's birthday party of 25 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's.
I mean, if you're coming down here with 8 kids to do something, I don't think,
Yeah, it's really hard to do anything, I think, with a pond. Like, how do you, I mean, if it's a, like, what if 10 families showed up with 10 kids? It wouldn't
right,
be any different than, you know,
right. So I'm not really sure how
I don't know if
you're,
we should even, I mean, pretty much, to me, it's like the skating rink and the village green are the only real facilities we have, that would be.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess the youth league fields would be if someone wanted to, I don't know, rent them or something like that.
Right,
Like,
right.
if you had.
And that usually you'd go through, it seems like a team,
Yeah.
you know, like an organization that had, need teams, you know,
Yeah,
to play
yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
So,
so-
yeah, we could probably leave it if you want.
So take off Beaver Pond, you
I
think?
think so.
Okay,
Well, the only thing with the Beaver Pond though,
Yeah.
if somebody wanted a wedding,
yeah.
you know, how could they kind of reserve the area if, you know,
Well,
not
that's-
that that would ever happen, but you did get a request and we.
I did, but how could I reserve it? I mean, anybody's free to
But
go
if-
down.
Yeah, but, well, at least, you know, if they had a permit.
Right.
Yeah, but even that, if you go, I mean, we're not gonna lock the gate and tell people they can't be there from 10 to 2, you know, Saturday or something. I mean.
yeah.
All right, if you had a permit, you would almost have to do that to guarantee
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
had it.
I
So
mean,
if
I
we
think-
choose not to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if somebody said,
What
I
was
want to
that?
get married down there, and it's just me and my supposed to be. And, you know, like 2 witnesses, like, go down there and get married. Like,
Yeah, I think that'd be really hard to deal
police
with.
kind of.
Well, another thing is you don't really have parking at the pond to encourage those kinds
Yeah.
of things
Yeah.
either.
I'm guessing
So-
it was small and intimate. They probably just wanted the backdrop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Gosh, we have our yard meeting down there, there's 4 vehicles, and that's the capacity, just
Yeah.
about.
yeah. Okay. We did talk about maximum occupancy at the Village Green. 500 seems a little,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we've had like, what, 640, was that for
Yeah.
our yard once? But that's like people coming and going all
Right.
Yeah.
day. It's not like they're all there at once.
yeah. So, because you start thinking about parking, you don't have the capacity
Right,
for parking.
right.
Park 500,
So-
no.
I mean, and if you're going to have an event here, I mean, I would say if you have 200 people,
Be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I would say,
because if someone was gonna have something here, and you're gonna have 200 people, and they're gonna have to park someplace. I mean, I
Yeah.
just think you have to take that into, there's not even enough on-street parking,
right.
No.
so.
I mean, they could all
need
park
to
in
cut that
Yes,
way
they do
back.
use the private
Yeah.
lot right here,
Yeah.
so.
Right, but if you're renting it, I'm saying, is Karis Reels gonna?
Yeah.
So should we say
Yeah,
like
you
200
can't
for
use
that?
somebody
Okay.
else's.
Okay.
200 max.
And the skating rink, I don't know, like that, so like, you have building and then you have outside.
Right.
So,
I think the capacity inside is like, is it 50?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
Okay, that, I mean, that certainly makes sense.
Right.
Josh would probably be a
Yeah.
good person to check, because egress, you know, you gotta
Yep.
assume everybody's gonna be in the building,
Right,
and they have
something-
to
yeah.
have egress, and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
You do wanna make sure it's less than what
Yep.
they say the capacity is.
and even, 500 people at the youth league fields, once again, I don't know where.
No, they
Even for
park.
fireworks, we struggle to
Right.
park people, and we don't have,
How many do you think during like games they probably get?
I mean, you have multiple games, what it,
3 games lots of times are played, you know,
Yeah.
and there's,
Right.
you know, maybe 15 on a team, parents, you know, 30, 40, if I say 50, 150.
Yeah.
You know, and then.
But there's not
you know,
150
another
cars.
So,
no,
Couple
because they
hundred.
come on a bus, so, I mean, when you have playoff games,
Yeah,
you
that's
have more.
different, yeah, so-
I'd say, I mean, if you're gonna say 2 for the green, I'd say maybe 2 down there too,
Yeah.
or, you know, whatever that number is, I think.
I would say 250, only because if it's a, you know, we've been there when the girls have had a softball game against West Rutland playoffs playing, and then there's been a Little League game going
Yeah,
and
so if you have a
a
couple-
T-ball,
Yeah.
so,
But I think people move around, so,
yeah.
okay.
And then, as far as user fees, we weren't gonna have any fees, or that was
No,
open for
that,
this?
that's gonna be on the facility use agreement, we're not gonna put that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So are we gonna strike that column from this, or it was gonna make reference to C the,
I think that it should just say, user fee, see facility use agreement for user fees.
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
That way, if you wanna change it and it's in the facility use agreement, you could change it in 3 months.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is a more of a process to change that. So I just take that column out.
And I have started working on drafting a new facility use agreement. Ours is
Okay.
very long, you know?
It is very long.
Yeah.
I can't get a copy of ours from the school, I mean,
I got a copy from West Rutland.
okay,
They have a lot more facilities than we do.
okay. Alright, so, in the, for the time, like, that's a good starting point, why don't people take it and read through the other pages, and then you could think about, like, you know, user fees, what you think are,
Reasonable.
yeah, and then we can have that discussion, so.
The verbiage portion of it, I thought was good.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
went through
okay,
it
there's
and-
a couple things, but I think a lot of stuff can just be cleared up, and, I mean, people aren't gonna read this, they're gonna read the facility use, and that's where the highlights of things really should be on that, so, okay. Dump day. So the question is, 1, do you wanna have dump day? it would be, Saturday, October 5th, because that is when hazardous waste would be available. I think in the spring, we didn't really spend that much.
No, I think there are fewer dumps. I think we got 3, 30 yards, and I think one is for, recyclables, 2 are for garbage, and I think we filled like 1.5, 2 for the garbage, so.
Yeah. So,
I could order 3 again this fall.
I think the expectation is that, maybe board members would be down there, and I'm just gonna be like, my child's a senior and it's parents' weekend at college. So,
So what would the hours be?
before we did like,
Is it 9 to 1?
11 to,
no, we did like 11 to 2, we've done 10 to 3. So,
There hazardous waste is there, I think 11:30 to 1.
yeah.
And it's,
So it makes sense to build it around hazardous waste.
yeah,
so
because otherwise
don't
people
have-
bring hazardous waste down the dump, say they're
Yeah.
not there yet, so here, take it.
So do you want Judy just to confirm that and then build the time around that? So if it's 11:30 to 1, we could do 10 to 1?
Yeah, I think it was almost afternoon, wasn't it, in the spring?
I don't know, because people don't like to go to the dump in the afternoon, they want to go in the morning, get it over with.
Yeah, but if they're not coming till 11:30 though.
For hazardous waste.
Yeah. It's silly to have them set there till 1 o'clock, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It just seems smarter to try to,
But I mean, if you went 10 to 1,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Then you've kind of circled hazardous waste too.
yeah. And even if select board, like, we used to man it, remember the select board, we'd go down there?
Take
and
the ticket.
Yeah, and the only reason for that is that the guys are, usually there's 2 guys and they're busy, one's in the dumpster,
Right.
moving stuff, and the other
Yeah.
guy's helping, so they can't really be.
Take the tickets
Yeah,
and
so
stuff.
even if, everybody did like a half hour, an hour, 1
And it's easier if
hour.
you stand at the gate there, I think, and take
Yeah,
the
before they
ticket
get up to
before
the-
they
Do an hour.
Go in,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we used to be up on top.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this way, if you take the ticket, then,
Yeah.
yeah,
then the guys know
If
they don't have to
it's,
worry about it.
yeah, then they know they're paid.
if
And do
it's,
the same thing, the ticket, buy the ticket downstairs.
Yeah.
Second time, they have to pay more
Right.
if they
Yeah.
do a second one.
So do we want to sell a ticket for the second one? Cause otherwise, no one's gonna have cash there, no one ever has a cash bag.
Right, they don't.
So we could do like, the blue ticket is for the first time, and then the second ticket is,
Pink.
yeah. But you don't have to
no,
pay for
right,
it.
for stop.
You don't have to pay for the first ticket.
Right,
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, then,
they don't, they have to pay.
Not
Did
for
we?
the first one.
no, I thought the first one you just got free.
We've done it both ways, but last year, I think, and the
Yeah,
year
we did
before,
it.
we did it free.
And the
Yeah.
second one is $20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say we do 2 tickets, and if they want a second one, they have to buy a ticket.
All right.
Otherwise, you have to worry about having a money bag and all, somebody.
Well, what's stopping it from going twice without
Well,
a ticket?
That's-
you're gonna be standing there.
That's why we want someone there.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
Collecting
standing
the
there going,
tickets.
give me a pink ticket.
Yeah,
That's on the first trip.
Well, the first ticket, whatever, they have to have a ticket for the first, and then the second one, they'd have to have.
They'd have to have
they
a,
show up with no
Yeah.
ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Where's
what
the
I'm saying.
door?
First ticket's gotta be a color.
Yeah.
Second ticket's gotta be second. different.
Yeah.
A different color.
And if they don't have one, then you gotta turn around.
Easy.
Okay, so we'll plan on that. Dump day, October 5th, we'll do 10 to 1, hazardous waste, 11:30 to 1, so, all right. A motion would be in order to move into the Board of Water Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
All right, Judy. You have the delinquent, list in
so
your
I
packet?
attached this was like the first tier when we went through everybody the first time, and then the second group is the last ones. I have the guys out checking. They have found some curb shutoffs, and the ones that they have, most of them, people have come in and wanted agreements, so we haven't shut anybody's water off yet.
What did the green mean?
Those were the highest of the second tier that they went to check for curb stops first,
And then what does the asterisk mean next?
that they found a curb stop.
Okay. So that if they don't have one, those people don't have a curb stop, or?
Yeah, they haven't checked them all yet, 'cause they've
Okay.
been, flushing sewers.
Okay. So we're almost down to the end here, right? Of being able to do this?
Yep.
Yeah.
So do we anticipate doing it, or?
No, they'll go back out and get curb stops, and what I'm gonna do is I'm waiting for them to give me a list of at least a good number so I can send the letters out.
Okay.
Cause I don't send them until they tell me if there's a curb stop or not. But I'm just gonna, I think I might just send them anyway, cause,
Some of these numbers are getting big,
oh yeah.
and I feel like some people have lived here in town and never paid. And then I did have one other question, like, there was property that's sold, but it doesn't show that it's paid.
Which one?
It's on this one, on the back page.
Okay, the top one?
Yeah, that sold and closed because they've moved in, and I'm just wondering why that still shows as outstanding.
Did they just, is that in the corner of Larson?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that just sold.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this one, this was printed before.
okay,
That sold.
okay. All right,
I mean, by the time I get this list and then I go down when somebody comes in for agreement,
yeah.
I check the balances again and they're already bigger. 'cause
Well,
of
I
the
just feel
interest.
like on the back page, when you go to the third one that's in green, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like,
Yeah.
if there's no curb stop, I kind of feel like they're just like, what are you gonna do?
Right, right.
That number has been big for a long time. So,
I'm wondering if that one tees off from the Curtis house and goes down the Cliff Street, goes down to that one.
I don't know. That's the thing with some of these, they're connected and it's, like Newton Street is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, Newton Street is, yeah. But that one there, it's either I can't imagine where that one is other than maybe,
Up the hill from them, you think?
Huh?
Or you think it's up the hill from them?
no, I think it's maybe parallel
Oh,
to
okay.
them in back, which
Okay.
would be the old Curtis house.
Right, right,
Or
okay,
the old Canapa house, which is up, but that's
Right.
all ledge.
right.
yeah,
I would almost think it's gotta be Curtis's.
All right, I'll ask
Rather than
them.
look out front, they maybe need to look out back.
Okay,
Just a thought.
yeah, all right.
okay, yeah, I guess for me, since we're so close to being, running out of time, I think the
Yeah.
important thing is right now is to identify where the curb stops are, so, when come spring, that we can just,
Right, well, I'll send letters out too, though, because that's the only way, we won't have enough time to, if they don't pay, to shut them off.
right,
Yeah, some of
But,
these
I
other
mean-
ones are newer.
and people that are on second agreements and stuff, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe that one over in Green Square might be a hard one to find too. I'm not sure which house that is.
And number 2 should just be off the list too, right? Because
Yeah,
that, and number 1 should be off the list, right? Because he just sold that house
yeah,
sold.
well, I
the
have
option.
those on here, just
Yeah.
with.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like,
Reference.
yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, any other questions for Judy about the delinquent list? All right, anything else in water?
Nope.
All right. Motion would be in order to leave water and move into sewer.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything in sewer?
The guys have been doing, flushing the sewers throughout the town. I actually went down there today down to the sewer plant for another reason, and, they gave me a tour of the sewer plant. So, that was interesting, and it actually is, it's amazing, and they're both, they're all so into it that they get excited to explain all this, how it operates. But it's pretty impressive for, like a small wastewater facility to have all the technical
Yeah.
stuff that they have to deal with. So I said, it just gives me a better idea when the lagoons, need work and stuff, but I was amazed at all the ducks down there. All the ducks floating on that water.
All right. questions for Judy? All right, motion will be in order to move out of sewer and into the regular select board meeting.
Motion to make that move?
Second, all those in favor? All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, everyone has, the sheriff's report.
I left the sheriff's report on your, because he sent it to me, because we couldn't pull it off of the website. It only showed 3 days and 8.5 hours, so I said, is this accurate? And he's like, no.
All right, any questions on that? All right, town manager's report.
All right, so mosquito spraying was done the evening of August 30th. I don't know if they're spraying again or not. I had asked them to go the extension of South Street because that's where it's really, really bad, and I don't know if they did. People said they hadn't seen them, so.
We did see them that day.
Okay.
When they came.
I'm hoping that, they said they go out that far, but.
I don't know whether they went all the way out
Yeah,
West Street, I've heard
Oh, really?
a couple of calls.
Yeah.
from-
The end of, like where John Jones lives on South Street, you know, the loop
Yeah.
back there,
Yeah.
that, they say that's really bad.
Yeah, and I heard across there, almost to the
Even
Cape
down
Farm.
on East Street, Patch Street area is
Bad.
terrible, terrible.
Really? It's weird, because when I was down the sewer plant, there was none.
Right, yeah, it all depends, it's weird how far you go, like in my neighborhood anyway, all of a
Right.
sudden.
Because I don't think there's any traps out that far. I think the only two were down by the well and,
Yeah, off Field Street, right? Down that way, wasn't one?
I think the other one is down Willow Street.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
I think Willow and,
I know, but they're both on this end, they should do one on that end.
yeah.
Well, there's one at the pool, isn't there?
No, you
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, I thought there was.
Field and,
Yeah, Field and Willow.
Field and.
Oh.
yes.
Field and Willow.
And, you know, I don't know if you did, you know, like up the pool, they must have put one up there when you wanted it sprayed before the opening. or-
Yeah,
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 You know, they can do that.
yeah. Okay.
But, okay.
but, I can mention that Wednesday night and ask.
Yeah, and if you could mention that the south, like this side of the town
Yeah,
is
the-
really bad, you know, West Street, South Street, south. Well, south and west, but not really the opposite side. Okay, I met with, VLCT risk manager Wade Masur. I'm at the fire station. We wanted to see what his thoughts were on the flooring and about the trucks being put back in. He didn't wanna give that okay. He thought the flooring did look pretty bad. So we're waiting for the engineer's report, and I reached out to them last week, and he said I should have it sometime this week. So,
Good.
How many holes did they actually drill?
2.
2 holes.
Only two?
Yep.
I would have thought they would have done.
I think initially they wanted to do 6, and then they said after 2 that they got enough information and results to.
Yeah, they were looking for ledge and, you know, the composition, and they
Yeah.
found that in the
Yeah.
2 wells.
So our next thing will be, once we get the report, I'll share that with you guys and what they say. And then we've really got to start thinking about what we're gonna do with those fire trucks, because they can't stay in the town garage,
No.
so.
Could all bring one home.
Hopefully you got a long garage. Cause they all have to be inside, they have to have heat, electricity.
I'll let you build one on my driveway.
Yeah, right.
Well, you want, what electrical service there?
Right, as long as I get the garage after they leave.
I know you'd like a new building and a garage to fit one of the trucks, sure. Okay.
I participated in an active shooter webinar on September 5th. I actually participated in a lot of those. But oddly enough, it was like right after that shooting. It was like that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, you know,
What about the one on the paving?
I talked to Kyle today, and he rode around with him last week, and he thought they were gonna start possibly tomorrow.
That was Will, right?
Wilk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wilk, you got Pike here.
I noticed that too, but I thought maybe something happened.
Yeah, I was wondering, yeah,
I thought maybe Wilk said it wasn't gonna happen, and so.
Maybe he rode around with Pike too, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
At least you guys are paying attention. See, I just put that in there, see if you guys are on your
See
toes.
if we
Yeah,
actually
sure.
read your report.
I didn't,
No, I had it underlined too.
I'm glad I sit next to you.
You weren't here for the vote.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
You get a pass.
Yeah.
There was a planning commission meeting on September 5th, and I went to it for a short period because I had our yard meeting. They had the regulations. I kind of explained to them. I think they got caught up in wondering what they're supposed to be doing. So I just said to forget about the subdivision piece right now, because I said just focus on the regulations and go through them like we do, line item by line item, you know, page by page, and see if there's anything that they feel is outdated, needs changing, needs revisions and stuff. So they started working on some key things that they talked about, and I suggested a couple things too that should be in there. And then they were going to work on it individually, send them to Dale, and he was going to make revisions. And then the Rutland Regional Planning Commission will be at their October meeting to discuss with them about that Act 250 changes and the subdivision piece of it. And so he'll go over it with them so they'll have a better understanding. Let's see, trying to compile information for the budget fiscal year 26. So when people are starting to send in things, you know, like the outside agencies and stuff for money, and then anything else that comes. And I think the budget this year is going to be better for me in terms of understanding, because I've had to pay all the bills. So I understand like where the money's going out the door and where the budget needs to really be strong.
Yeah.
But we're just going to have some big costs coming up, I think, with all the issues that we have going on, so.
Well, healthcare is gonna be.
Huh?
Health insurance.
Oh, yeah. I want to start working on the annual report too, so I'm going to reach out to people for reports sent to me, and then I tasked Celia with all the financials and stuff like that, so. That's actually worse to do than the budget.
Yeah.
Timber harvest updates. I actually printed this out so everybody could have a copy. So he came in, he talked to me, he picked up, we have a map of the forest, and he was questioning one area, so we outlined it. So he went back and he said there's some good tree growth in there, and he wanted to know if he could go ahead and mark those too. And I said yes, because he said they should have been harvested like 2-3 years ago. So a lot of it was dying and stuff. So he went and marked those, and the cost of marking those was additional, but he takes it out of the final sale, so it wasn't invoice to us. So this just kind of goes through all of what he's been doing in marking, and he hopes to get, and he does everything from start to finish. You know, he goes out and gets the contract, so
great.
he's hoping, you know, maybe late fall, even early winter, they'll start harvesting it all.
Yeah.
So that's a huge plus, I think, for us. And I attended the CREEP meeting, which is the Chitten Reservoir meeting, and they've added Proctor and West Rutland now to the map for that, in case there's ever a flood or a break of the dam. So they're going to be sending me a hard copy of the whole report and policy and stuff.
Okay. Any questions for Judy? Thank you.
And I am down one public works guy, so we only have 3 now on board. So I have put ads out there and reached out to some people. So they're fine right now. The guy said they're okay, but come winter, I mean, if worst case scenario, I can't find anybody, we might have to outsource some plowing.
Who exited? Who left?
Paul.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys have been working good, so they're.
Yeah. They're a good group. They work well together. Old or new business? So in light of all of our conversation that we had this evening, a little old business, I guess, or new business. The hope is that Judy will be able to meet with the two, and I just want to make sure we're all in the same place, right? Meet with the 2 directors and come to some proposal to bring back.
Right, the camp.
Yeah. Okay. And hopefully that could be maybe before our next meeting,
Right,
so,
yeah.
okay. All right. Okay. We do need an executive session for town personnel.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't think so, because I was gonna talk about, I mean, I referenced Paul, but that doesn't need to be an executive session.
Okay.
And then
I
what
didn't
we-
know about contracts, if you wanted, about the item contract, or you don't have that, we're not at that
I
place
don't think
yet.
I'm at that point. Well, I don't think we're at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we think we're at the point where we're going to,
I mean, if you feel we need executive session, otherwise I don't think we really do, because we're not, it's more a discussion of what are we gonna do,
yeah.
so it's more
No,
like,
no, I thought it was, more about the, contract and, the finance, how, like, but I guess my question is, are we at the point where, are we going to put an ad out for the rink, or are we having that as a duplicate conversation, or?
I don't know if that, I mean, I think after the initial meeting maybe on the camp, we'll see where that goes, and if it rolls into the rink, to me, it's a separate issue.
I understand that, but we're like in September.
Right. Well, I think the only way you're gonna get somebody is if we put it out on social media or word of mouth, because no one looks at the webpage.
No, but however we put it out, I'm just asking, do we feel like, are we at that place, or are we saying we're waiting before we do that, is the question, is my question.
Right. I don't know until I have a conversation with them.
Yeah, and I think you should wait at least a couple days, because I think you're gonna hear something sooner rather than later.
Right.
For the rink also?
Yes. yeah,
Okay,
just-
that's fine, I just think that,
That's my opinion.
okay. I just don't want us to, I mean.
I don't wanna wait, I'm not gonna wait longer, because, I mean, if all of a sudden we have a bad winter and it snows and gets cold, then I wanna be prepared, so.
Well, and I just want to be clear that, you have someone for the skating rink that we are comfortable moving forward and letting them
Right.
run the rink.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't want us to be in some like weird stagnant place because,
Oh, I know, I mean, as far as the roller rink, yeah, the skating rink, no, I don't know about that,
okay,
as far
But
as.
the ice rink is covered. Is that what you're saying?
no.
No,
No.
So I think we need to discuss what's going on, where we are.
Like,
Whether it's executive session or not, we need to get our ducks in a row.
Oh, yeah, I
Get it
know.
figured out, as to what we're doing,
yeah,
we're talking to, what information is being provided to these people, and make sure it's clear as to, so they understand exactly where we are with this process. I mean, it was obvious today that it's very unclear as to what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's,
but I don't think we can really do anything until we hear
Well, I think
their
it's,
feedback.
well, but that's a whole different, the camp is a whole different thing. If
Yeah.
they want to do
Yeah,
the
but it's
camp.
still gonna roll into, I mean, they quit lock, stock, and barrel. So, I mean, are they gonna come back, are they gonna come back just for camp?
Well, it was agreed and already talked about that there is another step to take, because they're gonna have a conversation to get back.
For the camp.
Right.
right, so this is, the rink's totally different, so I could say right now, I'm gonna write up a job description,
Right.
and I'm gonna put it out there next week.
My question was for the ice rink.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying,
Yes.
for the ice rink.
So where we are, what we need to do, if it
Right.
falls back with,
Yeah, well, if, right now, we have no one to run the ice rink, or make ice, so that's the focus right now, and who we're gonna get to do both. And how do we reach people that are willing to do it? I don't know.
And maybe the person, and maybe the way, if we are going to, pay differently this year, you might be able to hire different, like 2 different people to oversee the
Right,
rink.
right. So if someone's can't commit to like, every, certain days or certain weeks or something, you have a fallback, or somebody takes a split shift, just to
Right.
get it covered, and, how does that look like?
Yeah, and I think like create the calendar with you, so.
Yep.
you know, if they're open, if you have ice, you could be open like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or
Right,
something
right.
like that.
Yep.
And so,
And then we can post it so people know the dates
yeah,
and times.
so. But I think, like, rewrite the job description, rewrite the way you had figured out, like, the paying, the pay schedule and like that, and I think we should put it out there.
Can't hold off too long.
No. But I am anxious, I'm curious to see how long it'll be before Judy hears back from.
Yeah, well,
Before we got any responses, anything posted, I'm sure Judy's gonna hear back. from,
Yeah.
You know, the folks, whether they're interested or not.
okay. All right, anything else? Hearing none, a motion will be in order to adjourn at 7:45.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.